Queen B. Y'all know who I am. I have some great people with me today. But first, I want to say I'm in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. So this is for Baltimore, but I'm here to see my 80-year-old mother to check up on her. And I said, listen, we still got to be dedicated to Baltimore City. Still got to do the mission. So I'm in my friend's house on Daniel Allen, and we getting it. So y'all gotta have a little grace because I can't control this environment. Usually in Baltimore, I can control the studio. There's some people around. So if you hear some noise,
And
I'm not
I
home.
know you hear that. I know you hear
It's a
that
little echoey too.
echo.
I can't control this environment. I'm so blessed to be able to use my friend's space. So have some grace for me today. But today I have the Elevate folks from Baltimore Corps. I have Jennifer Clark and I have Nigel Garcia with us. Jennifer, say hi to the people.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to share and talk to you all today.
Excellent. And Nigel, holla at us, Nigel.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Happy to be here. Happy to witness this conversation. It's going to be amazing and great.
I love it. He said witness y'all. That means he's not gonna
Right.
say
So don't
nothing.
ask nothing. Don't ask me
He
nothing.
already put us he already put us on the notice.
He just
I ain't
gonna be
saying
sitting there with the preach face.
nothing. And y'all know G, my partner in crime, producer.
Yep, yep.
G, you wanna holler at the people? Are you
Hey,
good?
I'm good. Y'all already know what it is.
Yeah, we all know what it is. So we're gonna jump right in. This is really serious. I mean, I'm always happy all the time, but this is serious. Baltimore definitely is a place that I love, a place that we all inhabit. And part of that is making it the best place that we all can live in. And part of that is community investment and having your ear to the community and doing things in the community that promote humanity. And so in steps Baltimore Core with this elevation award. And I thought it was just so important for the community to be exposed to something so amazing for people of color. So today, that's what Jennifer Clark is here to kind of give us a little the backstory and what Baltimore Core is and what the Elevation Award is, so the community can actually access that. And if they're not ready, it will come around again, I'm sure. And so, but the information is the most important thing. So today we're going to talk about the Elevation Award. So Jennifer, take us in.
Okay. All right. So first I'll start with Baltimore Corps. So Baltimore Corps is a nonprofit in Baltimore City. Our tagline is that we connect talent with opportunity. And this idea came about from our founder and CEO, Fagan Harris. So Fagan Harris, smart man, graduated from Stanford, went on to be a Rhodes Scholar, moved back to Baltimore and couldn't get a job, and was like, you have all of these accolades and it's really hard for you to get in. And he was like, this shouldn't happen, because if it's happening to me, then it's happening to others. So our flagship program is the fellowship program. And so what we do is we place fellows within the social impact sector in Baltimore. So what does that look like? That looks like placing fellows at the at City Hall. So like they do work with the mayor's office. They do work with different departments within City Hall. We place fellows within the Baltimore City Health Department. We've placed fellows at the police department. We've placed them at local nonprofits within the city, and we have also placed them at for-profits like T. Rowe Price. And the idea is that we're allowing people to get into these positions that may not have had the opportunity before. And two, we're working to try to make the process for hiring, and just some of their processes in general, more equitable, right? So some of the things and barriers that we found is when you're applying and you submit a resume, and just like offhandedly, somebody looks at your resume and they're like, oh, this person graduated from Hopkins, but this person graduated from Coppin. So this person obviously is more qualified than this person that graduated from Coppin. This is not the case, right? It's equal, they both have a college degree. And we try to eliminate some of those things by granting these fellows these opportunities to be in these places that they wouldn't necessarily have the end to, right?
Can I 1 second? I want to clarify some terms. I mean,
Okay.
I think I understand what you mean by fellows. Can you can you give a clearer definition of what a fellow is, or what is? I guess it's a fellowship program, or what, and who are the who qualifies to become a part of the fellowship program, since that is still flags.
So I'm going to jump in, but like Nigel was a former program manager for the fellowship. So like if I miss anything, please feel free to correct me. So our fellows are ideally for our fellowship program, and it's not exclusively for college graduates, but like that's who we tend to recruit. And then it's no age range. So it could be like you're fresh out of college, or it could be like maybe you do a career change or something like that. And so
I see Queen's wheels turning. It's like,
Don't say that, you know I'm coming.
You like,
go over here writing. Go ahead.
It's a 1-year program. And so in the, we offer professional development for like growth within your work field. We also offer race and equity training. And I think one of the biggest pieces about the race and equity training that I really appreciate is the fact that there's a huge focus on Baltimore City. And I think this, because we have fellows that come from different places, like Baltimore isn't necessarily home for them. And we know that Baltimore gets a really bad rap from like outside of Baltimore. So then it sort of gives them an understanding of why Baltimore is in sort of some of the positions that it's in, right? Like how there's like the white L and the black butterfly, like what, like some of the systemic racism and like just like things that have happened in Baltimore and to Baltimoreans, which have resulted in some of the ways and ails of our community, right? So like it gives people this understanding around that. And we have a really good subject matter expert, Dr. Lawrence Brown, who has been able to deliver some of those trainings. He was a professor at Morgan. He's now with the University of Wisconsin. And he just wrote a book about the Black L as well. And like he breaks it down, like, especially someone who's not like, I definitively understand like systematic racism, I understand like redlining and all of those pieces, but applying it specifically to Baltimore and then like being here and seeing it, like it's one thing to hear about something, it's another thing to actually see it. He does a really good job of doing that and just allowing people to ask those questions and to be very open and honest in those conversations. And that's like one of the biggest things that I appreciate about the fellowship. So again,
Jennifer, let me ask one question. So with the fellowship, because the Elevation Award is for people of color, is that still the same with the fellows? They're people of color, or that's open to any college graduate?
So the fellowship is open to anyone, but like we have really done, and this is to Nigel's credit and one of our former Baltimore Corps employees, Ms. Sharon, have really tried to work extremely hard in order to specifically go out and recruit those Black graduates or just people in general, in order to be a participant in the fellowship, right? Because we understand, again, going back to what I said about allowing these people to be in these places and spaces that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to. So being very strategic about outreach to HBCUs and letting them know about the opportunities here in Baltimore City, right? And even outside of just HBCUs, just being able to reach out to like local colleges and universities to let them know about these opportunities here. So like it is open to everyone. We definitely try to make a point in order to increase our numbers around recruiting Black and Brown people so that their voices can be heard, especially if we're talking about making places and spaces more equitable, right? Like we need to make sure that these people are in those places and spaces.
So when did the Baltimore Corps start? When did the program begin?
Baltimore Corps was founded in 2013.
Oh, wow.
So we're still relatively new, but I think we're moving. Like we're no longer a baby. We're full on.
You're like a 3-year-old.
Yeah. We're in it. We're a toddler. We're breaking stuff down, and now, like, I guess we're getting more recognition. Like, more people recognize us and like hear the name and could put different programs and things to places and spaces, I guess.
So what were some of the I know that we're going to get to like the elevation program, which is separate from the fellowship program that Baltimore Corps started with, correct?
Yes.
Is what was the transition like to start including sort of community focused or community leader driven program as opposed to fellowship? What was that transition like to sort of go in that direction?
So I move like we have the fellowship, we have Public Allies, which is a AmeriCorps program. And then, but next came fellowship, next came the Elevation Awards. So Elevation Awards started shortly after 2015 and the uprising, right? So after that, of course, national platform, everyone all of a sudden has a solution for the problems at Baltimore, in Baltimore, right? Like everyone is going to come in and save us, right? But what happened was when they started doing just like outreach and like town halls and conversation, one of our funders found out that like people in the community are tired of having solutions dictated to them, right? Like, you don't live in my community, you don't know what's going on. And I think one of the things that bubbled up was someone was talking about how somebody was willing to come into their community and build this rec center, right? Great idea. Kids need somewhere to like play. Rec center was going to be in the middle of nowhere. There was no access to this rec center. Like, you couldn't get there, public transportation. Like, it wasn't going to be able to offer things that like the community really needed. Why do we need a rec center in our community in which we cannot even get to? Like, that doesn't make sense. And so like after the funders and stuff heard this, they were like, oh, wow, maybe light bulb, maybe the people in the community actually really know what they need for their community, right? So like, let's listen to them. And so like, that's when they were like, well, what can we do in order to help them out in a way in which like their voices are heard? And that's where the Elevation Awards came from. And it's a $10,000 seed grant given to community leaders who are doing great work in the community. And outside of just receiving the $10,000 seed grant, it's a 10-month program in which you also get business acumen training, right? Because what happens is a lot of times people are so into doing whatever the work is that they don't know the stuff in the back end, right? Like, they don't know what it looks like to build out a budget. They don't know what it looks like to create a business plan. They don't know what, like, how to get additional funding, right? Like, I got this $10,000. What does it look like in order to apply for grants and get additional funding? And so like, we decided to add that piece to the $10,000 grant and really working in order to help build out these programs and move them forward. And so I know some people always ask, like, what does success look like for me after the program is done? And for me, it doesn't necessarily mean that a person goes on to get millions of dollars worth of funding, right? For me, it could be that this person realized that maybe this wasn't something that they needed to do by themselves. Maybe it was something that they realized would be stronger if they partnered with another organization that's already doing great work. Or maybe they come to the realization that, like, I don't need to be an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur. Like, the work is hard. Like, I'm already working a 9 to 5. I have kids and family to take care of. I can't do this. I'm gonna back out. But there isn't a lot of places, like there isn't a lot of people that are willing to take a risk on Black people and brown people and give them $10,000 to fail, right? Like, most of the time, like 95% of the time, we have one time to get it right. And if we don't get it right that first time, then there's no more going back to the table. And that's where the Elevation Awards is here. Of course, we don't want to say that like we're giving you $10,000 to fail, but we are giving you room to figure it out. And if at the end of it, you figured out that this isn't for you, then like, no loss on our part. At least, you know, like if you want to come back, and I'm with you the whole time. Like I have people from the first cohort that I work with that I still talk to, which is Miss Mary from Unique Fabrics. Like I'm still in contact with her. So and she's successful. But I'm just saying, like, there aren't a lot, like, you can come back and say, like, hey, Jennifer, and somebody was like, hey, I finished this program. Like, I'm rethinking my idea. Can I talk about these things with you? Can we work through something? Yes, you can. Like, and we have this space. There's no hurt feelings or anything like that. It's just, you know, this is what we hope to achieve with this money and this funding.
Well, you segue into something because, you know, being Black, we're like, well, is this money going to be a 1099? I mean, where, you know, what is this money about? You know, no one gives us money. So, you know, it's amazing that Mr. Harris could come to Baltimore and create something. It's very innovative, you know, to see businesses that normally get no seating. We do a lot of our social entrepreneurship is self-funded. Mm-hmm. You know, and people are hustling to try to help their own community because they know the need. And to have a program that says, listen, we're going to give you mentorship. We're going to give you some resources. And if you don't particularly finish the goal, you're still good with us. And that's amazing. You know, so I think that is a lot of community programs out. Well, a lot of people doing their own little community things in their neighborhood, and they need this type, or in their community, they need this type of infusion, I would call it. It's like you know, you go into a store and somebody say, okay, I'm gonna give you $10. And you just shop till you drop, you know? So listen,
you're gonna drop pretty quick. You're gonna drop pretty quick if it's just.
Yeah, I'm talking about the corner stuff.
Right, you can get a whole bunch of
somebody give $10 and you get tacos. You like that. So I'm just Island. Like, it's almost very amazing that how I want to know, how is this funding procured? Is this granted to you guys? Is this how you guys get funding to give money away? Not money away, but seed other businesses.
So I guess like back to the conversation with the funders understand that it's that I guess we're sort of the pass through or whatever in order. So we get funded in order to fund other programs. Right. And this isn't, so you don't definitively have to end here and be a 501c3 or get your LLC or what have you. But in order to get this money, you need to have a fiscal sponsor or you need to have a 501c3. Like, we not cutting you no checks. Like, that's like,
there is a pass through, y'all. Yeah, it's gotta go. So right. It's gotta go through a fiscal sponsor. Right. So kind of because you know when folks hear 10K, 10Gs, they're like, yes, you know, I can get this. So fiscal sponsor, kind of explain, what does that do? How does that help someone's business, a fiscal sponsor?
So fiscal sponsors. So there are like,
they hold the money, right? You know, because folks are like, what is that? You know?
Okay, so a fiscal sponsor has the 501c3, so like they have the tax credit. So ideally what happens is if you're a smaller nonprofit, you're going to apply for a grant. Funders or foundations, much like us, are not going to specifically cut you a check. They're going to cut your program a check. And in order for you to receive those funds, the person who's receiving it has to have a 501c3, which is, you know, non-taxable. And so what happens is with a fiscal sponsor, your foundation, funder, or whatever, cuts you the money goes to your fiscal sponsor, and your fiscal sponsor, like ideally you have a relationship with them in which like you're talking to them around like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z dollars in order to do A, B, and C. They either cut the check to you in order to do said things, or maybe they're the ones that are making the payment, or however that works. But like also they're the ones that are responsible for taking care of like all of the tax information, right? Like a good fiscal sponsor should be able to, like, you should be able to sit down and have a conversation with them around like, hey, I'm thinking about, or I need funding for this, whatever. Like a good fiscal sponsor should be able to say like, hey, you should look at these grants, and like they have those kind of relationships. And then they should also be able to, some of them will be able to provide some sort of programming or maybe like technical assistance. And it should be a sort of like a transition-ish kind of stage that like you're with this fiscal sponsor until you feel like you are strong enough in order to move on to like getting your own 501c3 if that's something that you see in your future.
So they're like your back office.
Yes.
Yeah, so you go, it's like your human resources. You go talk to them, and then you go to finance, and then they cut the check to whatever you're doing.
One of the another benefit in dealing with fiscal sponsors is also the network effect. There's a network effect because you have you build relationships with other people who are also a part of that sponsorship network. Similar to
So
the way
sponsoring you, they're sponsoring other.
Yeah, there are other programs, and a lot of times you can find synergies and opportunities to collaborate and kind of access resources with each other, and kind of there's a lot of collaboration potential in that. Similar to the way, you know, within cohorts of fellows or awardees, a lot of times there are programs that can collaborate or share information, or there's a lot of kind of opportunities for collective action in larger networks like that.
So you need a fiscal sponsor to pass through the $10,000, right? So
or be a 501c yourself,
or 501c,
or have a 501c.
Or have, okay. And you guys are on, this is your third cohort that you that we're getting ready to, that you guys are getting ready to do, or your second? This is the
fifth.
You're not a toddler.
Jennifer's been here for 3 years, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. So this is your fifth cohort. So you guys are getting really a fine-tuned machine with this one. That's good.
What are some of the criteria? I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm sorry, Queen. I didn't mean to step on you.
Like the requirements for, are there certain?
Right. We were asking the same question.
Part of, or do you have like standards of who you would want to be a part of these cohorts, and how many at once?
So 10, we're taking 10 people this time.
Okay.
And so requirements, you have to be 18 years of age or older. You have to be a Baltimore City resident. A resident of Baltimore City. So your project has to have roots in Baltimore City. It doesn't mean that Baltimore City is the only place you work, but like we want you to, like, that's why we picked you, is to grow and to work in communities in Baltimore City. So that's a thing. You don't already have to have worked on the project. This could just be an idea. Maybe you see something and you're like, hey, I noticed my community really needs this. And then you create the proposal or whatever and present it. So you don't already have to have been working on it. Let me see what else. You have to be you have to identify as a person of color, Black.
That's what I was going to ask you. Got to be some color coming through that door. Okay. There we go.
And I think that's it. Like we'll help you with the other stuff. Like if you don't already have a fiscal sponsor, like we'll help you with that process. Yeah, I think those are the main things.
Those are the main things. Oh, those are big things. I don't think ever I've heard of a program like this. Never. That I've heard of. Maybe there is one, but I've never heard of a funder for people of color. And you get an actual tangible money to utilize it towards to whatever you want to apply it. That's amazing to me. I'm stoked. Yeah. All right. So we got a fiscal sponsor. You're going to have 10 in this cohort, people of color, Baltimore City resident. That's really important. And your program has to help Baltimore City, right?
Yes.
Got it. Got it. So how long, you said it's 10 months, 11 months. How long, what is the process of actually being in a cohort? So you're chosen, what should you expect?
Okay, so one, and this is a question that's on the application, like it's very clear that we want you to participate in this cohort experience. We picked you to work with other people, only because what you'll figure out very quickly is if you are a social entrepreneur, I'd have to say like roughly around 95% of the people that I work with also have 9 to 5 jobs, right? So if you're thinking you're working a 9 to 5, you're starting this project or this work, right? And then like you have a family, like it's gonna come to a point within this time frame where you're gonna hit a wall. I'm here to help you and to support you as much as I can, but I'm not a social entrepreneur, and I also don't have no kids, so I don't know what that struggle is. I've heard it. I've
real.
that, but apparently the struggle is real when they're there 24 hours a day. Whew. So there's a piece of like bonding and like something to say about being able to pick up the phone and say, girl, like I am at my wit's end. I don't know if I can push through on this grant, and having somebody else that understands exactly where you are and to be like, you know what, girl, you got this. I can, I'll review it. I'll look over it with you, or I'll help talk to you. So the cohort experience is really good in that piece as far as like the support, and also a piece of like the partnership, right? Like back to, there's a synergy that happens between our participants. Like I was just on a call with a former awardee who's a social worker, but then other awardees were there too. So it's like, oh, I know that you work on this specific project. You could also help and come and talk to my people about the work that you're doing, and vice versa, right? Like there's a piece of partnership that comes along with it, which is really important in working in Baltimore City, because there isn't a lot of, so maybe there could be a lot of money, but like the money isn't always equally dispersed. And people in Baltimore, some funders are more inclined to fund projects that have partnership pieces to it,
Right.
than they
Right.
are to go out and fund just one specific project. So those pieces are like really huge. Like they want to
Cosign. They want that cosign.
Yes, they want to see how y'all working together. If you're doing this project on the west side and somebody's doing this project on the east side, like how can y'all meet in the middle and work and bring it together? You'll find that sometimes people trade kids. Like if you're in this program and you're doing this piece, oh, this person in my cohort is doing a program with this. Oh, you need kids? Oh, I have kids for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this cohesive thing. And that's something that you get from being in the cohort and that experience.
And that also benefits the youth. Partnerships among youth-based programs is really powerful because it creates a variety of experiences for the young people. They don't have just one thing that they have to do. They have an opportunity to sort of have a range of different programs and activities and things of that nature to participate in. So that it helps on the program level, and it also helps on the level of the communities being served, because you're offering like a wraparound experience, in terms of what you have to offer.
And when do you have to have your application in for the Elevation Award? Because I saw it said 10/21. So what is the actual date?
The 30th. You have until October 30th. The application is super, super easy to complete. Like it shouldn't take you longer than maybe 30 minutes to complete it.
You seen it for 5 years, please. You made it. Okay, go ahead.
It's just a very simple, very straightforward application.
Yes, it's straight. We're not trying to trick you.
Okay, so the 30th is the last day.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the process? Because I saw something that said like you have to do a pitch. You have to do a pitch, or how's this process?
So you submit your application. Your application first round goes to a community of reviewers.
Okay.
So after they review the first time, it gets a second look, and then through community reviewers. And then the third round comes to, it's an interview piece. And so in normal terms, we would ask you to come in and present to us or like pitch your idea to us. Now, of course, it's going to be a virtual situation where you pitch, and then we, let you know yay or nay. And then in January, we announce who we pick, and then program starts at the end of January. So in the beginning of January, you learn, and then the end of January, we have our welcome orientation. And then your first actual training starts in February.
Okay, so pre-COVID, you would come and pitch, or so now is this next cohort going to be all virtual? How are you guys? So it's all going to be virtual now.
So are there some applications that are kind of eliminated in those rounds, or is every application doing a pitch?
You asked a question on top of a question.
Say what?
I said you asked a question on top of a question.
I'll get you both. All right. So is this going to be virtual? Yes, unfortunately and fortunately, in order to protect everyone's health and safety, we will be virtual. I know that takes away, it takes a lot out of programming and just meeting and being in the same place and space. It's like a certain energy that you get from being around people. But until we figure out what's going on with the world, we can't do that. So okay. This year will be virtual. And then what was that?
So you had already answered, so you had already answered the question about virtual. So that's why I asked another question. But anyway, what I was saying was, do all applications pass through to the presentations phase? Because you select, so at each stage you select,
some of them get cut. Like there's a cut in every round, right?
Okay.
Like,
so the finalists
take the time to complete the application. I can't have you coming in to present. Like,
this is like American Idol. You got stages.
Yeah.
Right.
Lisa, when you get to the pitch stage, you better have a band.
Right. So that's like the final. That's the it's like finalists more or less that.
Yeah, it's like pitch. American Idol, bro.
Right.
You gotta come 2-3 times. Come for you, okay?
That'd be Fantasia. When you come to me, you gotta be ready to kick off them shoes.
Wow. I get it. Oh, that's different. Okay, so I didn't know it was like stage like that. Well,
it's levels.
Listen,
it's levels.
Someone's investing in you. You gotta show that you have the the stuff to make it happen. You gotta bring the sauce.
Yeah.
Got it. Nigel, you really said that you was gonna shake your head the whole time. Really, bro? What you gonna say about Baltimore Corps? Say something.
Jennifer is crushing it right now. One thing I want to add though about our talent recruitment and how our strategy has grown. We have grown past just recruiting from colleges. You understand? We also focus on like Black professional networks as well, and there's other networks as well. Our team did a really good job building like our internal talent application system that's really trying to highlight not your degrees or certificates, but like your actual experience doing something. So yes, we want college kids, college graduates, college alumni, but we also want people who've been professionals in the work doing it, who can back up what they've been doing. That's all I want to highlight.
And that's for fellows. That's for
guys,
the fellowship. That's not for the elevation. That's for the fellowship.
And then
college, you're looking for college graduates, but you have actually opened your network past just going to schools. You're looking at organizations and things like that.
Yeah.
But can you be a fellow and an elevator? Or I didn't change. I'm gonna change the name. Or elevator, a validationer.
Not at the same time, right?
Not so like future.
One or the other, but you have no problem if your first year you did the fellowship, completed that, and then the second year, you're a Black person, and you're like, all right, I got a social idea. We have no problem for you applying for any of our programs for as many years, but you can't do 2 programs at the same time in the same year.
Got it.
We've had, we had Kanav, who did the fellowship, and then he became an awardee. And then we had Jackie, who was an awardee and then became a fellow.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And so the fellowship is something, I mean, because fellowships usually pay. So this is something that they're being paid for their time.
Yeah, by whatever organization they're working with, not by us.
Yeah.
Out of that chocolate, I get it.
Definitely.
So the organization that they have the fellowship with, they pay the people for a year.
Yep. Pay a competitive wage, provide health insurance and benefits as well, right? Not trying to have anyone doing this work for free or for like, slave or sweatshop wages. You understand? So
You came hard, Nigel. I like that. Got it. Okay. So that's amazing. Health benefits, excellent. So really, like someone could be on their job and say, I want to do something different and kind of do a fellowship and get introduced and still have a pretty good wage and benefits while they're doing that.
You got to be nice with it though. You heard he's saying like,
I already heard. He said that on the slide. Don't come in there without your shoes off.
half stepping.
We got it. Okay, so the community, the Black community, we definitely need these type of infusions. I'm really like I want to know Fagin Harris. I'm like, how did this happen? How did no one ever think to do something like this? Like find these type of, they're like bridges, small bridges he's making towards either innovation or social entrepreneurship. It's a bridge that normally you don't have.
Right.
And it's help that we normally don't have. So his brainchild is amazing. So it's also something else I saw, Kiva.
It's
Am I
Kiva.
right?
So Kiva is an international nonprofit. However, in America, they have different hubs. And we house a hub in Baltimore. So Kiva is an up to $15,000 loan. It's a micro loan and it's an interest-free loan. And the idea is that instead of using traditional underwriting ways, they don't do that. It's sort of like you're using your network in order to get this loan because it's done through crowdfunding, right? So first you start off in private, and that's when you're leveraging your network. And so the idea is if your network would support you and loan to you, then other people would be willing to do the same. And so after you are on our in private, then we promote you to public. And then once you get on the public platform, that's international. So like anybody, anywhere could loan towards your business and what you're working on. And again, that came back to the idea that it's really hard for Black people, brown people, women, and to get funding from traditional institutes in order to do this work. And so we have really been lucky. I believe our statistic this year, somewhere around, we have been able to fund maybe 83% women. And then I think it's somewhere in the 90s for Blacks. So like they've been able to use a Kiva loan during this time in order to help whatever they need help with. And that's a loan. So like that you have to pay back, just FYI.
So it's up to 15,000 with no interest. And it's a loan. So you have to, I'm sure there's requirements, underwrite, that type of thing. Okay. Like micro lending, really. Right?
It is micro lending.
It's micro lending. Okay.
Oh, and your credit score doesn't affect your chances to get a loan.
Oh, you just blew up the Zoom call on that one. You just blew it up. Black and no credit score, you blew things up, bro. Really?
It's not evaluated in the same way that Wells Fargo would evaluate your credit score.
Yeah, she cleaned it up. He said it didn't matter. She said it's not evaluated.
It matters, right.
It matters, yo.
Right.
but it's not evaluated the
You
same.
got to be you got to be good in your you got to be good in the hood. You got to be good with your people. You know,
You gotta know how to define evaluate.
right.
Got it. So that makes sense. But listen, again, on a normal, that's not something that I know that we have as Black and brown people the access to. So $15,000 can change your business.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't go through the fiscal sponsor.
No.
This
is
you see, that's even better.
They do work with PayPal. So and I think that's where they come off with the interest-free piece because it's a partnership with PayPal. So the payments and stuff are set up through PayPal. But yes, that's how you'll get your money. You get approved, you get your money. And I think somewhere, well, because of COVID, it's been a delay in like when you're required to start paying back. But yes. So also it's the idea around like you are inclined to pay this loan back because you are essentially borrowing money from your friends,
your
and
network.
family,
Yeah.
right? And like the idea is that like they believed in you, so like theoretically you want to give them their money back.
Right.
Theoretically.
You got one time not to. You got one time.
Break it down, T.
Right.
Really, she's saying, y'all.
Don't be out here messing up. Like, don't play yourself.
With us because we coming.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you've? I mean, I know working under these circumstances with COVID, outreach can be a challenge in terms of meeting people and getting the word out, and really, finding people who are raising awareness about the opportunities. What are some of the big challenges that you've had to overcome specifically in recruiting for this cohort? And how have you addressed some of those?
Nigel, you want to take that since you recruitment?
I think, to be honest, call it what it is. We are in a pandemic right now, and it's providing a lot of stress on people's personal lives, right? So one of the challenges is that kind of narrative of like, can you still execute this idea that you had a couple of months ago, right? Is it still appropriate? Do you still have the capacity and the time to pour into this idea and project and grow what you were trying to do? So that's one of the main challenges. People are dealing with a lot right now. So do they have the luxury to follow this and support the community and support their dream? Out there, when we recruit and when I'm like talking to people, I say, yes, if you have the mental capacity to do it, right? We're always going to have some type of emergency breathing down our neck, and things are just going to get worse and worse. Nothing's going to be perfect. Plus, to Jennifer's point, I also highlight that cohort model, right? You're not going to be in there alone. You're going to have a room of like 9 other people in Baltimore doing this work, going through the same thing you're going through. You're going to have Jennifer, who's like professionalism, intelligence, and like empathy is going to help kind of bring you along. So yeah, this is a tough time right now. So that's the hardest thing, is like getting people to think like, yeah, we're going through it right now, right? But let's push forward as much as you can. Like, please, let's try. So that's the hardest thing to try to convince people to do.
To what degree do like former sort of graduates of the program, to what degree do they refer like other potential? Like, is there a lot of word of mouth going on among the fellows and the past participants in the program?
Mm-hmm. They're pretty good about reaching out and sharing the opportunity with their network. I know after her year, Shauna took to Facebook and did like 10 reasons why Shauna Murray Brown, 10 reasons why you should apply for the Elevation Awards type situation. So yeah, like if people are trying, they're my cheerleaders. So if I send them out to say like, hey, I know like Miss Mary, like if you ask her, like she'll be the first one to say like, oh yes, you should apply. And I'm sending.
I think she worked for you guys. I'm like, Miss Mary, do you work for Baltimore Corps? Jesus. And Antoine, they love you guys.
Oh yeah, Antoine, you know him.
Yeah,
Antoine
yeah.
is a part of the Black Box family.
He's a black boxer. Yeah, that's my brother.
That's the man
Okay.
right there.
So
Yeah,
tell
me
him
and
to talk
Antoine.
to me.
Yeah, that's my man. You can't say nothing about Antoine, but he
Antoine
definitely
Riley
speaks
L.
so highly of Baltimore Corps, and Miss Mary, definitely, so that's my mentor. But anyway, what I do want to know, that a lot of people want to know, you have this idea, you want to bring it to the world, you want to change Baltimore, but it's for you guys. That's really in the idea. It's me and then three others. Can this be like a team concert, or it has to be this one? Because you said one person. You can have can you have a team, or you know what I'm saying? How does that work if four people are really doing it, but it's one point person? How does that work?
So it can work. We've had people that come through that were a collective. I don't know if you've heard of like Mirror Kitchen Collective. They're elevation awardees.
The food spot. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they came
Yeah.
in with a collective. But so yes, you can have a whole team behind you. However, if you, Queen, are the one that fills out this application and you're the one that submits it, then you are the one that's being held accountable. You are the one that needs to show up for these meetings, these monthly meetings and trainings. You are the one that you're scheduling the check-ins with me. And so, and this has happened before, if something happens and you start beefing with the people that you working with and they like, nah, she wrote this proposal and she got this money for us, but like we don't really like her like that and we still want this money, guess what? The money follows you. So you will still get the money. And that very much so happened. Somebody wrote a proposal, came in, interviewed, and they were kind of the face. And then all of a sudden, a month or two into the program, they were like, we don't really want you to do this anymore. We want somebody else to come in and do it. And we were like, it doesn't work like that. She's the one she signed the contract. Like she's the one that's held liable. Like she's the one that's getting the money. And so that's the way it works. So I would just say like, whoever you're working with, make sure that it's somebody that you like trust and like it's like relationship type situation. Because whoever's name is up there is the one that's up there. So
what about if it's a team and like they have a pitch, the pitch competition? Can they come in and sing a quartet? I mean, what's going to happen at the pitch? What if they all start dancing? Can they all dance together? Or that one person has to be the person?
I mean, if it's like the pitch and like y'all all need to work together and it's like cohesive at the end, I mean, you do what you need to do. But I'm telling you, through that 10-month process, every time we come to meet, I don't want it to be somebody else. And I'm like, well, I just told so-and-so this is what we got to work on. And now y'all not even talking. So how does it work?
Yeah, that's something to think about, when you have a team. So you have to know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. So there's one point person, okay, the fall guy. Yeah, that's how I was going down.
Lee Majors.
So as the cohorts have gone on, do they come back and work together with other cohorts, or how is it, or is everybody separate? How does that work when it comes to elevation?
So this year is like a good year to talk about. Somebody from our first cohort is actually working with two people from our current cohort, and like they have come together, and like a funder is funding a development person for them. So like also all of the programs are centered around youth development. So it was like a real synergy there. We definitely are working this year in order to like, and I've tried to push it in the past. Like older cohort members will come back and do like a panel discussion, and it's like y'all can talk and like network and talk about that. And then like I try to create those opportunities for spaces so that old cohort members can come and meet the new cohort members and like they can do that piece. I do admit I could do better at that, but I'm working. I'm trying.
That's like 50 people. You've always had 10. So is it always been 10?
No,
or,
this is
it had smaller. Okay.
The first time it was, so when we started, our first cohort started off with 4. They were like, oh, this is a really good idea. In the middle of the cohort, they added 4 more people. So our first cohort finished with 8. And then the
Right.
second cohort, when I started, and Miss Mary's cohort, it was 12. And then we grew to 15. And I was like, this is 15's
That's
a
a
lot.
lot. Yeah.
Then we had to dial back to 10. And so like we find that 10 is like a really good number. So I think we're gonna keep the 10.
Okay. That's a good round number. So, okay, so we've done, this is very interesting, very interesting. I know so many people who would be great candidates for something like that. I mean, so many. You know, Roscoe been in the neighborhood for 10 years, giving the kids snowballs.
Roscoe to sign up.
Yeah, Roscoe need to holler at the elevation.
Yeah.
Elevation. I mean, because the kids look forward to that. So I just know a lot of people. I'm just sure I had a flyer. I'm like, y'all need to call the people. You need to go see them. So that's really interesting. So what are your expectations like? Okay, after you've done this cohort, and so are there no expectations for the build out, or when it, because you said that a person can actually like, I don't want to do this. You know, this is not what I want to do. So is there really no expectations, or should they be able to do something with, because they got $10,000?
So the
I wonder about that.
is so I guess one thing, some of the people, and I guess this should be clear, while you will get awarded that money during the year, there isn't a rush for you to spend that money within the 10 months. So like we're done in October, and like
Okay.
I don't expect all of my awardees to have like run through that $10,000, especially for the people that just came to me with just an idea. So like they're starting their pilot year after they're done with the award year, right? So from there, it's like they're going to get a chance to like do whatever, spend whatever, grow whatever, and they still have that $10,000 to use, or I don't know, however much money they have in order to like use that. So I do want people to be very thoughtful and strategic around the way that they're spending their money, and there isn't so that there's not a rush around like, oh, I need to hurry up and finish this. And so I guess for me, the expectation, yes, there's a very small percentage of people that go on and say like, this isn't for me. But like the idea is that, and this happens, is that people reach back and say like, I need help with X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to apply to this accelerator or incubator, right? So like people go on to do the social innovation lab at Johns Hopkins, right? People go on to do OSI and become OSI fellows. People go on to do Echo and Green and become Echo and Green fellows. Like people go on to do these additional things. Like we are very much like the foundational level for a lot of people. And also like, I do want people to be comfortable enough to reach back and say like, hey, we had this training on X, Y, and Z, like I still need help around this, like what can you do, or who do you know in the network that's going to be able to help you out? So like you talk about a Miss Mary or Antoine, like always reaches back to say like, hey, I have this meeting with this funder, like I need y'all to come with me to this meeting, whatever, and like somebody's there in order to support them. So however you need support after you get done with your program year, like we're still there. There is an expectation that you learn and that you grow at some capacity. I guess for me, I'm just not, I'm a former educator, so like I wasn't definitively sold on all of the data between you having like an A in the class. Like a big piece for me was like watching you grow and learn as a person. And like, that's an important skill for me. Like, I definitely want you to know how to count to 5. But like, if you also are like a good person after you leave me, then like, that's just as important. And that's something that they're not definitively collecting data on.
Right. Yeah. Seeds are like that. Like seeds have every seed has a different gestation period. And a lot of times if a program is effective, the ideas that you have at the end of that 10 months will be very different than or they may be extremely much more informed than you had at the beginning. And so you would expect that you might need to step back and retool and reimagine. And so a lot of times it's difficult to anticipate the time frames for things like that. And I think it's smart to think about sort of the arc of the person's work outside of the range of the specific idea that they had in the beginning. So there's a lot of reasons why things don't continue. Sometimes things are effective for a period of time and they address what they were meant to address. Like some things are successful that they don't, and you don't need to just keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We did that work. That was good. We now we need to think about something else. So I'm glad that you are not so tight in terms of the way that you are, kind of assessing the success of the people in the program.
Yeah.
Nigel, are you an educator?
Unfortunately, I am not an educator.
Me neither. You see how when the educators get together, you just have to sit back and let them educate. You hear them, right? I'm not an educator. That's why I'm just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say too much because they're educating us. So it's amazing. I love it. So since you guys are making people cohort friendly, so they can go to all of these cohorts throughout the city, when do you get? So when you say you're awardee and you're in January, at the beginning of January, the person you have this and you're going to be a part of the next cohort. Do you immediately get the 10,000 or you have to wait for the 10 months? How does that money come to you or come to the fiscal sponsor? Let me get it together because it's not coming to you.
So
How does that
I
happen?
would like to say that come January, you get that check, but back to lessons learned.
Ooh.
You can't just be cutting that check all early, willy-nilly, right? Because
It was gone. They quit on February 1st. Everybody quit.
he is out. No, so like throughout the process, I've learned, and this isn't intended to be like punitive. This is definitely intended for them to build them. I have implemented now like a grant reporting process. And so like now the money is broken up and you get 4 payments. And so there are like requirements that are attached to like the payments, right? And it's that accountability piece. I think ultimately a lot of things that I found out from the people that have been participants in the program is like, yes, they appreciate the $10,000, but what they appreciate more is like the accountability. They appreciate the stuff that they learned in these trainings. They appreciate being connected to the network. They appreciate the coaching sessions that they've had with me. Like these are all things that have been beneficial to them. And for some people, they feel like it's been more beneficial than actually the $10,000. So the grant reporting piece isn't again to be punitive. It's a matter of like, I am preparing you because I feel that after you leave me, in the event that you get ready to apply for additional grants,
it's going to be some reports.
It's going to be some reporting, and it's you need to get.
Yeah, you need to learn today. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn that so there are benchmarks.
Right.
And definitely there will be some reporting on your behavior or your movement within the program.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want to have a conversation with me because the first time it's like, okay. The second time is like, listen, we all got stuff going on. I'm gonna need my report.
I'm gonna need that math. Let me see what that math look like.
So you're not always smiling. You're like, listen, I'm gonna need that report.
So, she can still smile.
Like 4 times during the 10 months to you?
It's only 3 times. Like the first time, your first payment is only tied to like your participation, like and you securing that fiscal sponsor. So the first payment I believe went out in March. So like that was tied to like you attended our orientation, you attended our first training, you submitted everything that I needed for fiscal sponsorship. So here is like, good job. Here's the first check. And then moving forward, it's like, I need to see like what you've been working on. Like your like it's a narrative that you have to write. And these are all things that like we started implementing into the program. Just from feedback from other cohorts to say like, after I got done with y'all, we had to write all these grant reports and
I ain't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But they know how to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are teaching how to go through the process. Cause there's a lot, like I'm hearing you said, like you have social innovation. I didn't know all of these. Social innovation lab, you said something about green. Bmore green. Didn't you say something about green lab, Echo Green or something?
So Echo
all
and
these
Green,
other.
yeah. So Fagan was an Echo and Green fellow. Brittany Young, an Echo and Green fellow. Cole, who owns DovCo, Echo and Green fellow.
Okay.
Sarah Heminger, who is over Thread, is an Echo and Green fellow. Atira Griffin, who is over Bond, she's an Echo and Green fellow. Michelle Obama is an Echo and Green fellow. So to think that like eventually you can be in the company of Michelle, so like that's your network. You lead with that. I know Michelle. Oh, for real? No.
We was green in an echo. That's what's up.
So I do want to bring up really quickly, just kind of as a quick recap of the program or the Elevation Award, what it's about, and some of the key points. We have a few people that came in a little bit late and they're asking questions in the chat. So if we can just do like a quick roundup of what the Elevation Award is, who is targeted towards, and what are some of the key dates and points to consider.
Okay, so the Elevation Awards is a $10,000 seed grant given to community leaders who are doing great work in the community. The applications are currently open. They are open until October 30th. After October 30th, we'll go through the selection process. The award year starts in January 2021, and runs through October 2021. And throughout that time, you will receive training centered around building your business acumen. So trainings around accounting and creating budgets, training around business, creating a business plan, branding and marketing, all of those things. There's a monthly check-in, minimum monthly check-in with your coach, which is me. And the requirements for the program is you have to be a Baltimore City resident. You have to be at least 18 years of age or older. Your program has to have roots in Baltimore City. And you have to be a person of color.
All right. Thank you so much for that really quick recap.
And on Thursday, October 29th at 6 p.m., you all are cordially invited to our EA showcase, our Elevation Award showcase / pitch competition. And there you would get the opportunity to meet or see and hear from our current Elevation awardees who will be pitching their project. So this is the end of their year. And so they'll be pitching their projects to you all, to everyone, to our network.
So the folks who are in 2020, they're going to pitch. Oh, they're to just virtually. Are they pitching to actual funders or?
So we've invited our whole network. So there is a chance that there will be funders on live there. Mm-hmm. And there's also you win. So like if you win the pitch competition, you get $3,000. Second place is $1,500, and third place is $500. So
wow, a little Shark Tankish.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm like, listen, I really appreciate this this talk. I mean, we at Black Box Radio, we want to disseminate information. That's number one. So for the community to hear something like this is revolutionary, because we don't get this type of language where someone is willing to fund our ideas and kind of build us while it's being funded. Even though you have to perform in some way, it's a blessing to hear something like this is out here. So whatever you guys are doing, come back, tell us, let's market it with you. Let's talk about it so we can post it and give, and kind of disseminate this type of information so more people can actually know their dreams can definitely be funded in Baltimore.
And also, also it's a great opportunity for us to meet some of your past the Elevation awardees projects, for us to learn more about the work that they're doing, and to kind of to provide the platform for them to get the word out and to kind of educate our community about the issues that they are addressing in the community, so that we can all grow through that process as well.
Exactly. They can pitch, but they definitely can come and talk and tell us what they're doing so the people in the community can access their programs, because a lot of folks just don't know.
Well, let us know. We
Yeah,
have
let's do it. I mean, I like this. I love hearing these type of things in the community, and it's amazing. You know, when Antoine kind of ran it by me, I'm like, what is that? You know, and it has the name Elevation. You already think of like something's gonna happen. You know, I love that name. So, Jennifer and Nigel, we absolutely appreciate your time. Um, Take us out, Jennifer. Tell us, talk to the people, but we appreciate you guys coming tonight. Nigel, you want to say anything but shake your head and smile, bruh?
Please apply for Elevation Awards. All right. We need your energy. We need your ideas. And Jennifer is greatest thing since sliced bread. So there you go.
Love it. Love it. Jennifer, your outtake with the Black Box Radio.
Yes, thank you again for this opportunity to come back. Hopefully this was my first time. It will not be my last.
Excellent.
And so if you are listening, please, please, please apply. Applications are open until October 30th. There's no such thing as like a bad idea or you being too scared. Just do it. It's very easy application process. Just apply. Yeah, and it's $10,000. It's seed grant, and like we will work with you and build you up. And again, if you want to see and hear from some of our former awardees, our current cohort, they are pitching on Thursday, October 29th, starting at 6 o'clock. Our keynote speaker is Miss Brittany Young from B360. She was in our first Elevation Award cohort, and she has gone on to do some very great things in the city of Baltimore, specifically around STEM and dirt biking, and really working to decriminalize the act of like riding a dirt bike. So I encourage you all, if you're having second thoughts or just like, I don't know, then come to the pitch competition. There's also information on our website, which is BaltimoreCorps.org. And then we have some information on our Facebook page, which is just Baltimore Corps, and it's questions answered around the application and just questions that people asked in our information sessions. If you feel you didn't get everything you needed to know here. And also I'm accessible. So if you just email me at jennifer@baltimorecorps.org, I am here for you.
Okay. And lastly, the pitch competition, will that be on your Facebook page or will that be on your website?
Yes, so that'll be on Facebook Live.
Facebook Live. Okay. Got it. So everyone, listen, Elevation Award 10/30/20, right before Halloween. Okay, G.
We do have someone, we have someone in the audience listening who has a question.
Okay.
So, Aris, we can't see you.
How are you?
But you can ask. Go ahead.
Can't see you, Aris.
It's okay. We can hear you.
Okay. It was saying my thing is disabled. I tried to put the video on.
No, it's fine. We're recording, so you can just talk.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Considering, asking me to listen in. But I wanted to ask, are the requirements based on just like, is it 501c3 activity or organization, or does that matter? Or is it based off of you already having worked doing work in the community and you wanting to further the work, or new startup ideas, or does it matter?
No, so it doesn't. So the last piece of your question, no, it doesn't matter if you are already doing the work in the community and want to further that work, no. And two, if this is a startup idea, that's fine as well, either or. I would suggest you can apply with both. Like if you want to apply one application using the work that you're already doing, and then do another application for like the startup idea, you can do that. It just gets a little tricky with your email addresses, so be careful about that. And second, yes, you will have to have a 501c3 or a fiscal sponsor in order to receive the funds.
Okay. A 501c3 or fiscal sponsor. Okay. Does that fall under you guys once we become a part of the program, or you have to have that already in place?
So if you get selected for the program, we'll certainly I won't even refer you to people, because I will make a list of potential fiscal sponsors in the city. And then if you know someone that has a 501c3, they could act as a fiscal agent. That gets a little tricky, because if it's just someone that you maybe kind of trust but don't really trust, like once we award that money, it's gone.
They control it.
Not on us. So yes, if you get awarded, like you get selected, it's definitely a conversation that we can have around what your next move is, because I don't want people to just go out and apply for a 501c3 if they don't feel like that's something that they definitively want. But they're just doing that to secure this $10,000.
Right, okay. Well, if I choose the idea, because I have a few great ideas, and if I choose one of the ideas, then I would definitely choose to go with a 501c3. But the other ideas, it may already fall under the business that I currently have. So I may not need the 501c3 for that. So that's why I was asking, because there are different options, because I do have a business open already. So I want to know how that would fall. But okay. And could you put your email in the chat?
Yes.
So I can, I guess, talk to you personally about some of the other questions that I may have, because I don't want to, keep everyone.
No, we appreciate it. I'm glad that you're listening in live.
Great.
And also
Yes.
this recording will be available at blackboxradio.com.
Oh, perfect.
So you'll be able to listen back to this a little bit later on, so that you can maybe listen to the first part if you missed the beginning of the conversation.
Yes, I did.
You'll be able to hear the entire interview. And I don't know if that's a good time for me to transition into that.
That's it.
We can just
Do it.
segue in.
Segue out.
Let me thank you, Nigel and Jennifer. It's been a pleasure to have you here. If you're listening now, either live or if you're listening later, you can find all of the work that we do at blackboxradio.com. That's BLAKBOXXRADIO.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Black Box Radio, and you can find us on Twitter at Box Black. That's BOXXBLAK.
Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you. All of that information, you did good. You did really, really good. Nigel, thanks for being a cheerleader and bringing the information. Do your job. There you go, bro. That's you.
Play your position and play it well,
Right.
Real talk. You are good at it. You know your place. I love that. I love that. So I want to say thank you guys for all of the information. Thanks for everyone who listened in. I appreciate the grace you guys gave me for being out of town, and I appreciate you being with me. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is Black Box Radio. It is 10/22/20, and we boxed up and out. Deuces. Can I get them deuces? We are.